I request everybody to settle down. Kindly be seated wherever you can find a place. We are going to start the media briefing shortly. Good evening, friends. I welcome you all to today's press conference on the third G20 Tourism Working Group meeting at the beautiful location of Srinagar. Today we have with us in the press briefing Union Minister for Tourism, Culture and Donaire, Shri G. Kishan Reddy, Union Minister of State, Independent Charge for Ministry of Science and Technology, MOS, PMO, Personnel, Public Grievances, Pensions, Atomic Energy and Space, Dr. Jitendra Singh, G20 Sherpa Shri Amitabh Kant, G20 Chief Coordinator Shri Harshvardhan Shingla, and Secretary Information and Broadcasting, Government of India, Shri Apurva Chandra. I welcome you all, sirs. So today we began our meeting with a side event on film tourism. We also have several other interesting events lined up in the coming 2 days. So we will be giving you more details about that. But before we start, I would like to invite G20 Sherpa, Shri Amitabh Kant, sir, to give us a perspective on G20, its goals and objectives, and its significance for a country like India. After which, I would like to invite the honorable ministers for their remarks. So, Amitabh, sir, over to you.
Thank you very much, distinguished journalists and media personalities. We are truly delighted to welcome you to Kashmir. India is hosting the G20 presidency at a point of time when there's a lot of global turbulence. The post-COVID era has seen a vast segment of people go below poverty line. It has seen a lot of people lose their jobs. 1/3 of the world is under inflation. 75 countries of the world are facing a global debt crisis. There's the huge challenge of climate action and climate finance. In the midst of all these crises, India sees G20 as an opportunity, and as our Honorable Prime Minister has said, that India's G20 presidency will be inclusive, will be very decisive, and will be action-oriented. A G20 presidency is largely dependent, to my mind, on three things. Firstly, the political and the development narrative which we set out as the leader of G20 this year, number one. Number two, what are our priorities for G20? And number three is, how do we execute the G20? And let me dwell a little bit on all three of them. First and foremost, in India's case, the G20 is being held at a time when there are 4 emerging markets, one after another, who hold the G20 presidency. Last year was Indonesia, this year it's India, next year will be Brazil, and after that will be South Africa. So 4 emerging markets, one after another, holding G20 presidency. Secondly, the leader of G20 is the Prime Minister, Mr. Modi. He is the democratically elected Prime Minister for the second time, whose credit rating is still at record high level. And secondly is the development narrative. And the development narrative is that we are the 5th largest economy. We are growing at very high rates of about close to 7%. During the last 7-8 years, we've done some remarkable work in development. We've done a huge amount of digital transformation. We do about 11x fast payment, real-time fast payments on mobiles, 11x of what America and Europe does. We do 4x of what China does. We've built about 40 million houses. 40 million houses is like building a house for every single Australian. That's like making a complete Australia. We've provided toilet connection to over about 110 million Indians, which is like providing toilet connection to a toilet to every single person living in Germany, and we provided pipe water connection to 243 million Indians, which is like providing a water connection to every single person in Brazil. During the COVID period, we've done about close to 2.5 billion COVID vaccination, which is about 6x the population of United States and Europe together, which was totally paperless, cashless, digital, all digital work. And we've done 55,000 kilometers of road. 55,000 kilometers of road is like making 1.5 times the diameter of the earth. That is the kind of development work which India has done. The second is, what are our priorities for G20? The first is to do very inclusive, resilient, sustainable growth for the global economy. If there is growth, we'll be able to lift people above poverty line. We'll be able to provide better education, better health, and therefore inclusive, resilient, sustainable growth is a major priority. The second is that the sustainable development goals have been impacted because of COVID, and therefore we need
You don't have that kind of a scenario today. That itself speaks of the transformation that has happened. And the G20 event, let's not forget, is being carried out in the same format as it is being carried out in the other 60 locations. You have the same program rolled out. There's no compromise at all. Like, for example, tomorrow we begin the official program. We have an inaugural ceremony, which is followed by working sessions, which is followed by bilateral meetings, which are followed by interactive sessions. Today we had side events, which were dedicated to film tourism, to the Paradise Zone, and now we have a cultural program, the banquet. What more is left? This absolutely, because I've been part of the G20 events, even other places, as a part of the anti-corruption working group in Gurugram, etc. The very fact that it is happening in the same format and the same scale over here as elsewhere itself speaks of the mainstream activity happening in Jammu and Kashmir. And therefore, I think it's in the interest of all of us, and maybe in the interest of the integrity of profession and integrity of the task assigned to us, that all of us who are attending this meeting will go back home and tell our natives what it is actually like. We are a part of the global world. If we have to move on, if we have to grow, our challenges are global, our concerns are global. It's none less than Prime Minister. You saw the film now, he gave us the mantra life. Life means life for environment. This is the Prime Minister who spoke in COP20 about climate concerns. We are also committed to net zero targets by 2070. So we have awakened up under Prime Minister Modi to accept the global challenges, to live up to the global benchmarks, and our growth has to be global. And Jammu and Kashmir is very much a part of that. It's ready to move on to that. So that is one message. Second, as far as the film tourism being discussed over here this afternoon and across the evening, I think there could be no other better place across the world. When this panel discussion was going on, thankfully I was not part of the panel, but my stomach was aching to tell those panelists over there that today what is most important evolution in the film industry across the world is the universalization of films. Universalization of films has happened within India and then it's happening globally. For example, till 1950s, till 1960s, we had only 3 film industries mainly in India. That was Calcutta, Bombay, and Madras. Madras Tamil industry was known more for family dramas, AVM, LV Prasad, Gemini. Bombay was known for romantic. Calcutta was known for classics, Tagore, Sarat Chandra. Then Kerala came up as experimental filmmaking. And then, of course, the Kannada and Telugu. Today, there are universal themes happening across India. And since we are part of the global world, our lifestyles have become globally similar. We are so well connected, so well informed about each other. The themes are also global. The stories which are being produced today in India are actually not very much different from what you see in the Bollywood or in the Hollywood. It's no longer that here you have a heroine crying through the film and then, becoming a martyr. It's the same as it is in the Western movies. So that universalization of films is something which we need to showcase, and we need to tell the world that look here we are presenting to you a cost-effective location. Whether you are from Hollywood, whether you are from Bollywood, whether you are from Tollywood, whether you are from Collywood. Within a radius of 10 kilometers, you have plateaus, you have meadows, you have snow peaks, you have tulips, and you can just stay in one single hotel, shoot the entire film in themselves. I'm not talking in very philosophical terms as somebody I'm not trying to draw on the sentimentality of Kashmir. I'm talking like a hardcore professional. Any hardcore financier of films will find it win-win situation here. And we have had heritage. I was amazed in the room when I said who was the first. I said the first film star recorded in the history of India was from Jammu and Kashmir. People went back up to Rajesh Khanna, didn't they go that far? It was Kundarlal Sehgal, who was no. So we have a win-win relationship with the film industry. And now, of course, there's been a trail of it. And I'm sure the message will go that, look here, Kashmir is not only ready to be part of the global journey led by Prime Minister Modi at a time when the other heads of state are also looking up to Prime Minister Modi to take his cues, but Kashmir is also going to be the most profitable, most cost-effective, and most economically viable film destination in its totality and in its finality. In a press conference, I'm told you don't have to deliver a lecture. Thank you very much for bearing with me.
Thank you, sir, for your remarks and for highlighting the boundless potential which Kashmir holds for the film industry. Now, sir, I invite Union Minister for Tourism, Shri G. Kishan Reddy, to share his views.
Friends, Government of India, Ministry of Tourism, closely working with all the ministries in a whole of government approach. Not only Government of India Ministry, we are also working with all the state governments in India. Every ministry, they are taken some responsibility for tourism encouragement and develop infrastructure activity to encourage foreign tourists and domestic tourists. And also, Government of India committed to working with all the G20 countries, invited countries, and all international organizations to promote sustainable tourism and sustainable practice. Friends, just now, Jitendra Singh ji told, after Corona, in India, there is a tremendous response for domestic tourism, especially spiritual tourism. And also, if we take Srinagar city, in March 2022, Srinagar airport, monthly average 90 flights per day. 90 flights per day from Srinagar. The tourist flights, maximum tourist flights are operated. In Leh, 2020, there is a 74 flights, increased 74 to 160 flights. Today, we are running to Leh. And also Srinagar weekly gone up to 532 flights in the end of last year. In this year, we are expecting double tourists from foreign also and domestic tourists also. Last year, only 2022, 1.84 crores tourists we attracted Jammu Kashmir. I hope in India in coming days, world tourist destination, India should, we want to establish, we want to make all infrastructure activity. We are also working with all the state governments in different schemes and different policies. We prepared a draft national tourism policy. This draft policy we consulted with all the state governments and stakeholders and the government and ministries. In coming soon, we are going to declare national tourism policy in India, and also Global Tourist Investment Summit, first Global Tourist Investment Summit we are planning. We are also started the preparations in all states. Government of India approached all the state, discussion with going on. All states also. We cannot become a world tourist destination. That's why we want to investments from globally and domestic. We also 100% FDI under leadership of the Narendra Modi ji. We are encouraging and including Northeast states, hill area states, we are requesting the hospitality ministries for establishment of the infrastructure to the tourists. I hope this meeting, G20 domestic tourists, more and foreign tourists, and also today success also discussing tomorrow also same film tourism, some foreign countries also.
Now, hand over the dice to G20 Chief Coordinator, Shri.
I think the honorable ministers and G20 Sherpa has already given us a very extensive overview of both the G20 meeting on tourism as well as our larger national priorities, including the substantive priorities. I just say a few words on the organizational aspects of the G20 and in particular the meeting in Srinagar that is taking place now. As you know, we have hosted some 118 meetings in 46 different cities and locations in our country so far. Each meeting has involved a fair amount of organizational and logistical challenges. Each of them has required a lot of advanced planning and preparedness, and a lot of this is done. The Honorable Minister had spoken about a whole of government approach and teamwork. A lot of this has involved teamwork not only among the Union Territory involved. Meticulous editing, myself have come here 2 occasions. Other colleagues of ours have also visited. We've had extensive meetings as well as personally visited a lot of the areas that have been involved. And I must say that in the last few months, since the time we came here last, the changes have been quite dramatic, quite significant. As you know, Srinagar is also a program. We've seen some transformational urban changes. If you drive along the riverfront, the Jhelum riverfront, you'll see a tremendous change in terms of the pedestrian walkway. If you go to some of the marketplaces like the Polo Market, you will see that under the Smart City program, the entire cabling, which is fiber optic networks, whether it is the drainage systems, water systems, have all been underground, and the entire area has been converted into pedestrian walkway. And that, I think, will give many of the visitors, especially tourists who are coming from outside the state, an opportunity to witness the best of Srinagar, but also to be able to shop and to be able to look at some of the exquisite handicrafts and craftsmanship of Jammu and Kashmir in person. So from that perspective, I think as you go around the city, you will see some fairly substantial changes and very extensive preparation for the G20. And we've always felt that it's important for any G20 meeting in any part of our country to not only prepare for the meeting, but also to make the changes that will make those cities better environments with better amenities, better facilities. And G20 meetings take place with the minimum amount of inconvenience. And that's been the effort also to take G20 to the grassroots levels. As you heard, we have hosted meetings in 46 locations, but we intend to host it in every state and union territory of India, so 60 different locations. The whole idea is not to have the G20 just in the capital, but to take it across to different parts of our country, so everyone
every citizen of the country becomes a stakeholder, participant in the G20 process. In Jammu and Kashmir, there's been quite an effort. The Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir and the regional and local governments have cooperated to hold several sessions, walkathons, cycling competitions, information rallies, model G20, thereby getting the message about the G20 and India's presidency of the G20 down to the level of the grassroots level. I think that is what we call through the Jan Bhagidari mode. And I think that has been a very great achievement, not only across the country, but also in particular in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. And as the Honorable Ministers have both pointed out, and so as the Sherpa, there are going to be tangible benefits of bringing a meeting like the G20 tourism meeting to Jammu and Kashmir. This is an important tourism destination. We expect 20 million tourists to visit Jammu and Kashmir in the year 2023. But the idea is to increase both the value in terms of ecotourism, film tourism, adventure tourism. And not only that, but also I think to increase the number of foreign tourists coming to Jammu and Kashmir. And that, I think, the attention that the G20 meeting will bring on this very beautiful and scenic part of our country with a lot of culture and civilization behind it, I think will be very, very successful. So my congratulations to our Ministry of Tourism for hosting an incredible event to the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, and to our colleagues in the G20 Secretariat with the G20 Sherpa providing very, very important guidance, and everybody else who's been involved in facilitating and making this event actually happen and take place in a way that, as Minister pointed out, could not have been envisaged a few years earlier. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. As all of you know, in India, the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting works closely with the film industry to promote the film sector. In this slide, I would request Secretary Information and Broadcasting to present his insights on film tourism.
Thank you. I would like to speak on film tourism only in the context of Kashmir and from my own personal experience. When I came here for the first time to Kashmir, that valley, that was in 1989. And that time we carried vivid memories of Shami Kapoor sliding down a snow-clad hill, then of J. Shiv Shankar in Gulmarg in the film Aapki Kasam, and so many others of Shikaras in Dal Lake. And that is what attracted us to Kashmir as being a young man that time, that is how the films were made and that is what we had seen. But unfortunately, 1989 was the last year before which insurgency started, and thereafter it was a lost almost 3 decades. And India is a young country. More than 50% of our population is below 30 years of age, and our youth have not seen Kashmir in films. But then that has changed in the past 2 years. The fact today is that the film policy of Kashmir was introduced in the year 1921, and more than 400 films have been shot now in Kashmir in the past 2 years, whether it is films, whether it is TV series, whether it is advertisements. And now again, not just whether it is Bollywood, whether it is from Hyderabad, Chennai, from all parts of the country, people are flocking to Kashmir, and our youth will again be able to see the beauty of Kashmir. So we look forward to film tourism in this particular state, and that is what is attracting now tourists again in a big way. The Honorable Minister mentioned that the largest number of tourists visited Kashmir last year, and that is the impact of films. More and more tourists will be attracted, not just Indian tourists, which is happening now. More and more foreign tourists will be attracted. Kashmir has a lot to offer in terms of scenic locations, in terms of culture, in terms of food, and which all of you will be able to experience. And this is going to be the golden era for filming in Kashmir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. With this, we move on to the question and answer session. The floor is open to questions, but I would request you to please identify yourself. Kindly give your name and organization before asking a question. We would start with that lady.
This is Yeshi Seli from the New Indian Express. In the earlier session, it was mentioned that 370 films have got permission. I'd like to know what part of India have are these films coming from? Are they from the south? Are they from Mumbai? And also, from in these 1.8 crore tourists who came in last year, what percentage was foreign tourists?
In terms of films, it is from all parts of the country. I mean, the details would be there with the Kashmir government. But what I can say is that just last month, Shah Rukh Khan was here to film, along with Rajkumar Hirani, to shoot for his film Tunki. And before that, Karan Johar was here to shoot for his film, along with Kiara Advani and Kartik Aaryan. And so many others are there. So, I mean, the films are coming from all parts of the country.
One is that a lot of OTT platforms now want to shoot their serials and their films here. So 370 of them have registered, but I would say that many more will come as Kashmir, the people see Kashmir here because it has all the possible products for great filmmaking. And I think the local administration has been very, very supportive and outgoing and supportive. We've had about 18.8 million tourists in 2022, which is the highest ever in the last 3 decades, highest ever in 2022 too, 18 million. We expect this number to keep going up in a very big way. A lot of these tourists are right now domestic tourists, many of them coming from Gujarat, coming from Bengal, but a lot of tourists have started coming also from South India. So what we envisage is as more and more resorts get built, more and more products happen, I think you will see a lot of more flights are all coming chocker full. There are no seats available. So it's a way we should, I think the houseboats are all getting full. So tourism will become the biggest job creator. For us, tourism has a multiplier impact. It has a huge impact for every job that it creates directly. It creates 4 jobs indirectly. So its impact on handicrafts, handloom, many other sectors of Kashmir will be very, very enormous in the years to come. And I think there is no better destination than Kashmir in the world.
My question is to Mr. Reddy. Mr. Reddy,
Kindly identify yourself, please.
my name is Nazir Masoodi. I work for NDTV. So my question to you is, it appears most of the G20 countries are, attending this meeting in Srinagar despite opposition from the China. Now, do you think it is an endorsement of India's stand on Kashmir, or you would like to have everyone part of this, meeting, including those who oppose this meeting?
So let me first of all clarify to you that all G20 countries except China, this particular meeting, we view tourism as both a public and a private sector activities. All countries except China are participating here.
Now, I think what is important is to first understand the myth of this. What stand? What is India's stand? Jammu Kashmir is as much a part of India like any other state or union territory of India. So I don't understand what it means by saying India's stand. So what is India's stand on Punjab? Or what is India's stand on the union territory of Delhi? Or what is India's stand on the union territory of Goa? I don't think this is exactly what we need to see with our eyes open, ears open, to clarify the clouding of thoughts that has happened. And of course, as far as Pakistan is concerned, I don't think we need to waste time on that. It's been, Pakistan never reconciled to Jammu and Kashmir being a part of India. It tried all the tricks in the book since 1947, conventional walls, infiltrations, proxy. But what is important is the common masses. If you go and do a survey, quiet survey, even in Pak or Kuwait, Jammu and Kashmir, you'll find people there preferring to be part of India rather than be part of Pakistan. And what is more important is that you should, sitting in Kashmir, try to understand the minds of the youth around you. The youth doesn't want to waste himself on this false narrative. He wants to move on. He doesn't want to miss the opportunity. Let's please do justice to him. If we are not able to do it for ourselves, we'll be doing huge injustice to the youth of Kashmir if we deprive him of the opportunity which Prime Minister Modi has provided to the rest of the country and which even the foreigners are willing. You know that the foreign startups are looking up to Indian youth. So when the other countries are making the best of our avenues, we have no right to deprive our youth by creating these kind of myths in his mind.
Mr. Kant, just wanted to clarify over here, sir.
No,
You're
so
right.
as Sherpa, let me tell you, I am in charge of 13 working groups, 13 different sectors I look after. In addition, there's a finance sector, finance track. Let me say that the tourism working group meeting in Kashmir has had an overwhelming response. Normally, in any meeting anywhere, 4 to 5 countries do not come for various reasons because they are invited countries also. But here in Kashmir, we've had a very good and a very outstanding response. 61 participants from 29 countries, one country not coming is a very good response. So we are looking forward to very fruitful, very constructive, very positive, very forward-looking discussions tomorrow. And as the Prime Minister repeatedly said, that our recommendations on tourism for the leaders' communique will be very, very action-oriented, and a lot of that will emerge from what comes out from Kashmir.
So just to make it doubly sure, sir, to your right.
Okay, Swati.
Yeah, to your right, sir. Sir, I know you've already answered this, but a couple of days ago back in Delhi, we were told that Turkey, Saudi Arabia and Egypt have also not registered. Are you saying that they are also now part and China is the only exception?
So, see, in tourism, all countries have come. Some countries have been represented through their private sector. Travel and tourism is totally a private sector activity. So their tour operators, travel agents, all have come from different countries.
But what about the official delegations from these countries, sir? The governments?
Governments have come from about almost 61 different representatives have come from different countries.
And these 3 countries, sir, specifically?
So many countries wanted to join on a hybrid way in virtually. We wanted only physical participation. So all of them have come virtually, but the other countries are being represented through their tour operators and travel agents.
All right, thank you.
Yes, your question.
I have a question here. May I?
Okay, you can come.
I'm Riyad Masroor from BBC Urdu. My question is to whoever wants to respond to. Since you said that tomorrow there's a crucial meeting about tourism working group, there are many European countries who have imposed travel advisories. They are asking their citizens not to visit Jammu and Kashmir, and it's official. So at what level is this meeting taking up this issue, and how hopeful are you that this G20 meeting will lead to the lifting of those travel advisories so that the foreign tourism will be as productive as it was in 1989?
Let me basically tell you that to our mind, very few countries have issued a travel advisory. Hardly any countries have issued a travel advisory. If travel advisory was so stringent about people not traveling, their representatives would not have come. All G7 countries are participating here. What travel advisory are we talking about? If there was a travel advisory, will the government representatives participate here? All G7 countries are participating here. So let us not get carried away by the bogey of travel advisory or something. Tourists are coming, tourism is flourishing. Kashmir is a very peaceful destination. We'll see peace, progress, and prosperity taking place here.
Next, the lady on the right. Yes.
Geeta Mohan from India Today. My question is a continuation to the previous questions. Just wanted clarification. Officially, these 4 countries, 3 member states and 1 guest nation, are not attending the G20. And a specific question to the G20 chief coordinator, Mr. Shringla. Saudi Arabia not attending officially and sending trade representatives or industry representatives is what was the response that came from Saudi Arabia to not attend this event in person, and does it show that these 4 countries, but not 4, at least the 3, that their allegiance to OIC is greater than the strategic partnership with India, particularly Saudi Arabia?
Let me, we've hosted 118 meetings so far. I don't think in any meeting have we had all 43 countries and international organizations that are part of our G20 presidency group participating. I mean, there are 250 meetings under our presidency. It's, I would say, both logistically and in terms of, human resources available, impossible for every country to field representatives for every meeting. So just to look at one meeting and say that, a certain number of countries are not attending that meeting, I think would be missing the wood for the trees. The important issue, as G20 Sherpa has already pointed out, is that we have had the highest level of representation in any working group meeting on tourism that we've held so far. This is the 3rd meeting. It's also one of the highest levels of participation we've had in any meeting, because you don't have, every country being represented in all meetings. And many countries provide one representative who comes for that particular meeting. So I think we are very happy with the level of representation. We've got excellent participation. We had excellent discussions in the afternoon session with the participation of a wide range of countries. We are getting very, very good inputs into all of our meetings, and I think that is what is important. So let's not miss the wood for the trees.
So last 2 questions only, please.
Also, just to carry forward this point, I want to just clarify that we've recently had an agriculture working group meeting where 5 countries did not participate. We've had energy working group where 4 countries did not. So it's not necessary that every working group has 4 meetings. 4 meetings. They participate in some, they do not participate in other, but they eventually end up participating in vast number of meetings throughout the year. So it's not that some country is not coming here doesn't mean that he's become an enemy of ours. Don't take it to that level. This is G20 is a process of building up a very ambitious agenda on the tourism side, which will cover green tourism, which will cover digitalization, skill development, tourism MSMEs, and destination management. And I must compliment the tourism working group, particularly the tourism minister and the tourism secretary, because commendable progress has been made in the meetings which have been held so far.
Yes, the gentleman at the back.
Yes, thank you. Sebastian Fosse. I work for the French radio. My question is to follow up on the remarks of Minister Singh, talking about mainstreaming Kashmir and the fact that this event show a certain mainstream of events in Kashmir. It is true, I'm sure it is true. The only fact is that it seems that it is also carried with a level of very high security, which is not the case in other parts, and also affecting the life of the citizens that you were talking about. Many schools are closed and the life of these people affected. So can you answer on that regarding the fact that it's mainstream but not like ordinary?
I'm sure as a well-informed journalist, you must have attended a couple of such events back home in France as well. No, no, let me come to that. I didn't say schools, but whenever there is a meeting of this scale with 20 high-level delegations from 20 different countries, with invited countries, besides that, the other groups also attending, you always have a scaled-up security, even in France, even in Paris. And I have seen, I've been witness, the hotels where they stay are cordoned off. The lanes are cordoned off. There's not something happening. Just because it's happening here, to an extent, to what you are seeing, doesn't make it different. So please take it very supportingly, my friend. Wherever there's an event of this nature, haven't you seen the American delegation coming to New Delhi? You saw so many presidents coming. You saw the other high-level delegations coming, even the High Commission level delegations coming. So it's a responsibility of the local administration, even in France, as anywhere else, to make sure that there is no lapses happening. Also for the reasons of good hospitality. Absolutely, it's like that. You see, even in Commonwealth, way back 20 years back when we had Commonwealth Games, I think the old-timer journalists, some of them may be there. I don't know how many of them, because the entire generation has changed, so they've seen only what is being shown to them. Commonwealth Games happened about quarter of a century back, Amitabh. Even then, you had those lanes, gardens. Yes. So about 13 years back. So you had the lanes and the roads, the by lanes, reaching up to the hotels carded off. It's nothing unusual. Security has to be, it's a part of the SOP which is followed everywhere. Just because it's done in Srinagar doesn't give it a different connotation. So please don't project it also like that, because then our delegates who come from the other countries would get apprehensive from what is being said by you.
Friends, Government of India decided to organize the G20 country meetings, all the state headquarters, even small states, union territories, including Mizoram, Manipur, all state headquarters, we are organizing. In the part of that, we are organizing one meeting in Jammu Kashmir state capital, Srinagar. That angle also you should see. We are organizing all state capitals. We are not leaving single capital. All 56 cities we are organizing. Everywhere the security is there. Everywhere precautions. Recently, I am culture minister also. We organized my culture ministry meeting at Bhubaneswar. Around about 5-6 countries not yet participated because they have different reasons. Not their own reasons. Their country's own reasons. You should see that angle also. That we should appreciate. We should appreciate. Lot of foreign delegates came after so many years in the Srinagar city. With happily, people are welcoming. Delegates also is happy. This is going to proper message to the entire country, and people of Jammu Kashmir very happy because last 2-3 years, lot of employment through tourism, lot of employment we created. Everywhere people are happy. We are confident in future also in Jammu or Srinagar state, this is Kashmir state, Srinagar city also. We have a lot of activities we are going to organize on behalf of tourism department. Definitely we are going to attract the domestic tourism more and foreign tourism more in this area. Thank you.
Just one last
Hi.
question, please. One last.
Sir, question to Dr. Singh, just from a security point of view. If J&K is hosting an event at this scale after a very long time, if it's safe enough to host, say, an event of this scale, is it safe enough for some form of political process to begin?
No, I think, some of the friends earlier, because I have been a part of media for quite some time. So I think, again, this question is motivated by the mindset which was haunting the earlier friends. I don't know what you mean by that, because the political process is already going on. We have DDC in place, we have BDC in place, we have Panch Sarpanch in place. Is that not part of political process? District councils are there. Rather, you should compliment us. You should compliment Prime Minister Modi. We had to wait for 70 long years for district councils to be introduced in Jammu and Kashmir. It was after 70 years. And I think the question sometimes would have to be answered by the earlier governments. When the district councils were there, elected councils were there, all across the country, the local bodies were there. The political process means the grassroots process. It has to begin from the grassroots. Why Jammu and Kashmir was deprived? What was the vested interest of these governments at that point in time? It is this government which is credited of having actually introduced political process right at the grassroots. We have also introduced 73-74 amendment, if you are aware of that. The entire country had 73-74 amendment except Jammu and Kashmir, which gives direct financial powers and some extra authorization to the local bodies. The central funds coming to the state go straight to the panchayat, to the block representatives, to the public representatives in the districts instead of going through the state. This has been introduced by us. So we have in fact contributed and facilitated the political process. I hope you don't have some individuals in mind when you are asking this question.
Please, we should confine today because we are making good hospitality to good tourism sector. You should go to the sightseeing. You should encourage hospitality. Thank you.
One last question. Mr. Kant, you mentioned that you want to make tourism the biggest industry in Kashmir. My question is that the biggest industry right now is agriculture, horticulture. Are you suggesting that in Kashmir, the tourism industry will surpass the horticulture or the agriculture industry? Number two, what is the breakup of international tourists in the past 2 years? If you could give the exact breakup. Thank you.
Agriculture, horticulture also must grow, continue to grow. But we feel that there is a vast opportunity in the travel and tourism sector of Kashmir, not merely for a large number of domestic tourists to come, but domestic tourism is always a very major springboard for international tourism. My own experience of Kerala was that it was first discovered by domestic tourists. Once that grew and expanded, a lot of international tourists came here. The product here is enormously better than even Switzerland. So I think what you will see is a lot, when you have G20s, its multiplier impact will be enormous. And therefore, on the back of domestic tourism, you'll see a lot of international tourists coming in.
Amitabh, there is no contradiction to that. Agri-tourism, there's one sector called agri-tourism. There's one sector called horti-tourism. There's one sector called medical tourism. There's one sector called spiritual tourism.
So tourism is multi-dimensional.
So tourism has diverse. Now you should be proud. This is the birthplace of lavender. The purple revolution of India has begun from Gulmarg and Bhadrava, the two townships. And now we are attracting startups from outside. You'll be glad to know I came across 3 startups who gave up their corporate jobs in Bangalore to take to lavender cultivation here. So that's also a kind of, whenever you promote a place, it will get promoted in a multifaceted way. But I'm glad that you are conscious of this.
I request all the media friends, this Srinagar meeting, take as a positive spirit. Government of India, we are organizing this meeting with a positive spirit. I request all the friends to support in this cause. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And I thank all the media persons for their interesting questions as well, and all the dignitaries on the dais. I thank you.